And I start with the Middle East, not only because of the gravity and the speed of the conflict there, but also because of what it tells us about the world and how Europe and its foreign policy fits into that. You will hear different views about whether the conflict in Iran is a war of choice or war of necessity. But I believe this debate partly misses the point, because Europe must focus on the reality of the situation, to see the world as it actually is today. And I want to be clear, there should be no tears shed for the Iranian regime. This regime has inflicted death and imposed repression on its own people. They slaughtered 17,000 young people. And this regime has caused devastation and destabilization across the region through its proxies armed with missiles and drones. And many Iranians inside the country and across Europe and the world have celebrated Ayatollah Khamenei's demise, as have many more people across the region. They hope that this moment can open a path towards a free Iran. And I think the people of Iran deserve freedom, dignity, and the right to decide their own future, even if we know this will be fraught with danger and instability during and after the war. And beyond this, we can now see a regional conflict with unintended consequences. And the spillover is already a reality today, whether on energy or finance, trade or transport, or the displacement of people. British military bases have been targeted in Cyprus, who I want to reaffirm our full solidarity with from this place. NATO troops have been called upon to shoot down a drone. Our citizens are caught in the crossfire. Our partners are being attacked. And I've been in touch with many of them across the region to express our solidarity and support. And the longer-term impact is already posing existential questions on the future of our international rules-based system, on how Europe finds unity in this situation. All of this shows how precarious the global situation is today, how diverse threats are, and how Europe will always be affected by what happens around the world. So the idea that we can simply retrench and withdraw from this chaotic world is simply a fallacy. I believe it is vital that we understand that this will shape our foreign policy for years ahead. Over the course of this year's conference, you will hear many descriptions of the state of the world, whether it is about middle powers or multipolar disorder. You will discuss the importance of the rules-based international system and, of course, the urgent need for its reform. You will exchange ideas about national security and economic security. All of this will feed into our work, in particular ahead of the new European security strategy that we are working on with the HRVP and our diplomatic service. But at the same time, these attempts to label today's world mask two tangible and structural realities which are far from important for Europe. The first is that Europe can no longer be a custodian of the old world order, for a world that has gone and will not return. We will always defend and uphold the rules-based system that we helped to build with our allies. but we can no longer rely on it as the only way to defend our interests, or assume its rules will shelter us from the complex threat that we face. So we need to build our own European path and find new ways of cooperating with partners. The second is that we need a clear-eyed, hard look at our foreign policy in today's world, both in how it is designed and how it is deployed. We urgently need to reflect on whether our doctrine, our institutions, and our decision-making, all designed in a post-war world of stability and multilateralism, have kept pace with the speed of change around us. Whether the system that we built, with all of its well-intentioned attempts of consensus and compromise, is more a help or a hindrance to our credibility as a geopolitical actor. I know this is a stark message and a difficult conversation to have, but I also know that many of you have felt this tension in your everyday work. The point is that if we believe, as I do, that we need a more realistic, a more interest-driven foreign policy, then we have to be able to deliver on it. And that is at the heart of my message today. We have stood up forcefully when our member states were challenged, for instance, with Denmark in the case of Greenland. We are investing in our democratic resilience at home to counter foreign information manipulation. And above all, we have started a generational project, and that is European independence. The goal is to make ourselves more resilient, more sovereign, and more powerful. From defense to energy, just these days, from critical raw materials to strategic technologies. Your work to deepen, de-risk, and diversify our partnerships around the world is invaluable to this. This is what independence looks like in today's world. It means not relying on a singular supplier for vital assets, from energy to defense, from semiconductors to vaccines, from clean tech to raw materials, just to name a few. And for this, we need more connections with reliable, trusted partners. Europe needs to get onto its front foot and start seizing the opportunities that are out there. Almost 2/3 of global growth is happening outside the United States and China. Countries across all continents are looking for their place in the world. They don't want to be part of any sphere of influence. They just want to be prosperous and sovereign. And this is why they are diversifying their trade relationship. Because they are too hedging against dependencies. From Central Asia to the heart of Africa, from Latin America to Southeast Asia, vast parts of the world are looking for stability and trusted partners. My first point is security and defense. Europe has peace at its core. It is at the heart of our treaty and at the center of our history. It remains an enduring mission for each and every one of us. in order to seek peace in today's world, Europe must be able to project power, to deter, to counter, and to increase our influence. In simple terms, we need to invest in means to protect our territory, our economy, our democracy, basically our way of life. And this will be at the heart of our new European security strategy. In all our assets and policies, we must mainstream security considerations. In fact, security must become the organizing principle of our action. Ambassadors, when I talk about security, we must talk about Ukraine, a proud European nation that continues to fight for our freedoms, both as a future member of our Union and as Europe's first line of defense. And my message here is very clear. Europe will always stand with Ukraine, no matter what is happening elsewhere. We all want this horror and bloodshed to end. And no one wants more peace than the people of Ukraine. But the war must end in a way that does not sow the seeds for future conflicts. And this is what we continue to work on every day with Ukraine and with our partners to deliver real long-term security for Ukraine so that we can secure a full, just and lasting peace. And what Ukraine needs now is, first and foremost, sustained financial support. As you know, this is why we proposed a 90 billion euro loan to finance Ukraine's needs. And you have all seen the challenges we have faced in getting this over the line, even after all 27 leaders have agreed to it. This goes back to the point that I made earlier about whether our system is still able to deliver efficiently. But I can assure you that we will, in this case, deliver on our commitments because our credibility and, more importantly, our security is at stake. So for us is paramount and crystal clear, we will deliver this 90 billion euro loan. The third point I would like to make is about our diplomacy and how it can help deliver for Europeans. Our support to the United Nations and its charter is an essential part of who we are. Together with member states, we make the single largest financial contribution to the UN system, year after year. And you know all why. In a more conflictual world like ours, we need a rules-based global governance. Of course, the UN system also needs reform. And when traditional formats reach a standstill, we need to look for creative ways of addressing the most serious crisis of our times. Every new initiative should aim to complement the United Nations, not compete, nor replace it. We have made this very clear from the outset. And this only makes our engagement more important. But Europe cannot shape the world from the sidelines. We must engage to make our voice heard, protect our interests, and, most importantly, to always bring our values to the table. As our foreign policy will change, this imperative never will. There will always be a level of constraint on Europe's foreign policy because of geography or geopolitics. We have to accept that. And we have to be honest, that we cannot solve every global issue or perfectly reconcile our values and our interests on each occasion. But what we can control is what guides our foreign policy and how we choose to conduct it. As I said here last year, I believe that we need to be much more assertive in pursuing our interests.